Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is being accused of blockading Canada's democracy and stoking division across the country after he branded anti-mandate protesters of the Freedom Convoy as swastika wavers after some were seen waving flags during demonstrations. During an emergency debate in Parliament on Monday, Trudeau spoke out against the trucker protests, accusing them of trying to derail Canada's democracy, saying individuals are trying to blockade our economy, our democracy, and our fellow citizens' daily lives. It has to stop. The people of Ottawa don't deserve to be harassed in their own neighborhoods. He went on to say, Canadians trust science. A few people shouting and waving swastikas does not define who Canadians are. So this has actually led to some members of Trudeau's own party to resign. Also, for him to be saying, oh, look, they're holding up our economy, they're holding up their daily lives. I mean, that is exactly what the Canadian government did. I mean, a lot of governments, including the US government, many governments around the world, they were the ones who shut down people's lives. They were the ones who were telling people they couldn't go to school, they couldn't go to work, they couldn't go out to eat, they couldn't do all of these things. I mean, that was the government. So now he's upset that people are exerting their own power, not just the government flexing their muscles. And he's saying that it's these people waving swastikas. So he has been accused of being divisive. He's being accused of, not really understanding how Canadians are feeling, and trying to paint this trucker convoy as just this far right neo-Nazi rally, which is totally and completely outrageous. Demonstrations continued this week as trucks blocked traffic on the Ambassador Bridge, which is the busiest border crossing to the United States, forcing people to close the bridge that links Detroit, Michigan, and the Canadian city of Windsor, Ontario. There's also another blockade that is formed at the Alberta-Montana border crossing. So they're starting to block these borders. There is a bit of traffic able to get through, but it is, for the most part, blocked, and police are calling these blockades unlawful. But interestingly, if you remember, Justin Trudeau threw his support behind the Singhu blockade in India after farmers protested against their government. And at the time, Trudeau said, quote, Canada will always be there to defend the rights of peaceful protesters. We believe in the process of dialogue. So, now he's now that it's happening in his own country, he's saying this isn't, these are basically terrorists and these people are terrible and we need to throw the book at them. Now, the Ambassador Bridge, which is normally traveled by nearly 70,000 travelers a day, has been closed on the U.S. side for going on 3 days. And that is actually, I think, the largest import and export crossing. So we're looking at 25% of the imports and exports being unable to get through. So it's pretty interesting, the blockade. And that's, like I said, been going on for 3 days now. So they're going strong. These truckers aren't backing down. The police in Ottawa on Sunday said that they have arrested 7 people and opened 60 criminal investigations into the Freedom Convoy truckers for hate crimes and mischief as they seized fuel and supplies for 1,000 vehicles. So, they're going after them. They're arresting some of them. They are seizing the fuel unlawfully. So, again, trying to brandish this as, swastika wavers and terrible people. Now, both Alberta and Saskatchewan have announced that they are lifting the mandates. So seems like things might be working. But of course, they're wanting the border mandates dropped. That's what the truckers specifically are talking about. But they're really protesting for all people in Canada. They know they wield the power because they're the essential workers who are getting goods to and fro. And so they know that they're the ones who can wield power on behalf of the Canadian people. So the fact that Alberta and Saskatchewan have announced that they're lifting mandates, that's a win. Just need all the other provinces and really just the nation to follow suit. But Trudeau, of course, is treating it like you don't negotiate with terrorists. And he believes that most of Canada is against dropping the mandates. But it looks like he's wrong about that. Looks like, according to this poll here, 54% of Canadians now want all COVID restrictions lifted. And that is a 15-point swing just in the last couple of weeks. So more and more people are about lifting the mandates. The Canadians, it looks like the truckers are having a massive impact. So that's good. And it looks like, when you're looking at what's happening here in the United States with the Biden administration and more Democrats coming out saying, okay, we're not going to do the mandates anymore. We're dropping them. looks like they're trying to get ahead of it. They're trying to get ahead of the possible same thing happening in the United States, because there's been talks of the truckers here in the US doing the same thing. They see what's going on in Canada. They see that it's working. We've got people in the Netherlands doing the same thing. Trucker convoys are forming in Europe. I'm sure many of the European nations are going to be following suit when they see that it works in Canada, but that's also probably why Trudeau's getting pressure from his European counterpart saying, don't cave, because if you cave, then they're going to come after us next. So we'll see how long, the standoff lasts. And if Canada's going to, Trudeau's going to lose on this. He's going to have to cave. He's going to have to drop the mandates, because it's not just the truckers who don't want them. Nobody wants the mandates on them, except those very few people who are still running scared from the virus and thinking they're not going to catch it. And they're just thinking we're going to get to COVID zero. I mean, only the zealots. But beyond the zealots, the average person is coming around and saying, okay, virus versus human, virus wins. This is like round 5, virus is winning. So we're probably not going to eradicate it. But of course, in Europe, we will not be getting, it's very difficult to get news of the protests out of Europe. There are still massive protests happening in nearly every single country in Europe where there are mandates. You don't hear it or see it on the news, just like the trucker convoy hasn't been covered by the mainstream news as much. So I will do my best to get that information out to you, though, what is going on in Europe and the trucker convoys that are going on there and the massive protests that are still continuing there. But my guess is these mandates are going to start dropping like flies. I just don't see how anyone can continue doing this. And I don't think the governments want to deal with the unrest. And they're seeing how unpopular their policies are. And the unrest is just just the smallest portion of their concerns. They're not going to be voted back into office, when I think there's the reckoning and people realize just how bad these policies have actually been for just the human psyche, our communities, our economy, everything. So we'll see. We'll see who gets to win the narrative debate on this trucker convoy protest. Will it be Trudeau? Will he hold out? And will he continue to become less popular with his constituents and with his fellow politicians? Or will it be the truckers? Who's going to win? I'll keep you guys posted. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share to keep this channel going. Also, if you would like to join my locals community, the link is down below. It's more casual over there. We do live streams, and you can also get some behind the scenes content. So be sure to check out my locals community. Also find me, if you're not already there and watching me on one of these other platforms, Rumble and Rockfin. That is also where you can find this content. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will keep you posted on the latest of what is going on with the madness, the mandate madness.